welcome to another episode of Truly Tenay. And today I'm going to offer a life-giving perspective about another dream that I have for helping people connect with the healers that can get them to their next step on their healing journey. Now, this comes from an encounter that my husband and I recently had at a restaurant where we sat next to this lovely couple and struck up a conversation. And as we got to know them, started hearing little pieces of what I would call personal intelligence. People sharing little pieces of information about themselves and their journeys and their struggles, and seeing how the other person or people respond to those little pieces of vulnerable information. Now, in our case, my husband and I are both very attuned to little pieces of information about people sharing their mental health journeys or their spiritual journeys or their physical health journeys, their relational health or their desire for impact, etc. All of the things that we include in our model called the 7-part person. And that model goes from someone's higher power to their spiritual experience, to their psychology, aka their soul, to their body, their environment, their community, and their impact. 7 parts of a person, and each of those can get healed in some way, shape, or form from injury, whether it's from abuse or neglect, or can get mature, meaning that they can learn how to grow and grow and grow in those areas. So we're back to this dinner, we're having this conversation, and the wife of the couple that we're speaking with is sharing how she had some really positive experiences with a Reiki healer, and doesn't really share a lot of details, but we're like, oh, what was that like for you? And what was that before and after? How did you choose to go to a Reiki healer, and what was it that you were looking for that you feel like you found there? And she shared she was having a rough time in life, looked up healers near me and found all of these different people on Google, and she just connected with what she read on the website of this one Reiki master. She went and saw her, and the rest is history. And then she mentioned to her husband something about when he had gone to see this Reiki healer and how this thing we were talking about was part of the philosophy of that healer. But the husband did not seem as open to spiritual or energy healing as his wife. However, he had mentioned that he felt he struggled with some things and was not having the joyful life that he felt like he probably could have, should have, would have, but he just felt like he didn't know how to get out of the place that he was in. We began to ask him about that. Well, what's that like? What do you think it's from? And have you tried to heal it? And what's been your experience? How was your experience with the Reiki healer? Was that not something that was fruitful for you, etc.? As he shared, I got this sense that he had some childhood trauma, but at the same time, he was a very private person and he couldn't openly trust someone whom he didn't get to spend a long time building trust with. He was also very intelligent, so he needed a very logical approach to things. He needed to be able to understand what was going on enough to believe that it could be beneficial. He'd had some fruitful healer experiences, but some really unfruitful ones, and he just felt like maybe this is just his lot in life, and he was disappointed about that. As he's talking, I just got this name in my head, which is one of my favorite psychoeducation channels on YouTube, Patrick Teahan Therapy. Patrick Teahan is a psychologist who does inner child work, and he runs a YouTube channel, does a lot of psychoeducation. He also runs online and in-person group therapy sessions using the RRP model. And I will put a link in the description to his channel and to his website and what RRP means. But basically, he offers bunches of exercises that a person can use to understand the emotional state and needs of someone's inner child. Inner child work is different than traumatized child parts work. They're two different things, but they're interconnected. Inner child work tends to deal with the emotional center of a person's brain, where the dissociated child parts tends to deal with the memory centers primarily. They're very related, but they are different. What I really like about Patrick Teahan is that his videos are very clear. 5 steps to figuring out if you have tricky families, or 3 things you can do to access your inner child today. The whole concept of the model is that someone's adult self can connect with and help someone's inner child. Getting our frontal cortex, the part of our brain that is able to regulate what we think and how we approach things, connecting that to the emotional center of our brain, the limbic system, that tends to operate on its own and can really feel like people are emotionally stirred up and they don't know why, or they don't know how to overcome it. By connecting the adult self, that frontal cortex, with the limbic center, that inner child, you learn how to regulate your emotions. The part of you that's present and has a lot of knowledge and understanding about how things have played out can inform the emotional center, which tends to get stuck in the past, because when someone's wounded in some way, they're unable to grow in that place until that wound is healed and then help to mature. It just builds a lot of emotional regulation and people feel better over time. I mentioned the channel to him. I was like, he's the guy for you. You're very analytical, you're private, and you need to understand why things are before you do them. And I think that will really help you. And he was like, how did you and your husband go from your intelligence background to doing this? Because he was like, it's very insightful, saying all the right things that are really resonating with me. And here we are chatting at a restaurant. This is definitely a much deeper conversation than I was anticipating having. And I said, well, it started with my own PTSD healing journey, and I gave him all of the details that I describe in my personal blog at tenaybenez.com, and I'll put that link in the description below as well. You're welcome to go and check that out. Then I said, for a long time, I pursued my own healing, but I also believe in energies, and I believe that I've developed this healing energy over time. And so other people who have similar wounds like me, they tend to get attracted to me and pulled in towards me and tend to open up around me really quickly and tend to share their struggles. And then I'm able to share some of my testimonies about how I overcame that thing, or maybe a resource I know that might help them. And then I just try to give it away. Helping one person at a time all these years has been amazing, but now my desire is to help people at scale, which means thousands of people at a time. How do you do that in the information age? It's through technology. I have somewhat of a IT acquisition background as well. And I described our vision for HealthFinder, which is a survey-based recommender service. That means that a person can go to this website and take different surveys that they're interested in about their holistic well-being, each of their 7 parts, however many or few surveys that they want to take. And then based on the results of that survey, they can be recommended YouTube channels for psychoeducation, or local therapists, or online books that they can purchase, or medications that might be beneficial to them, psychonutrition that could support their health, connecting survey results to products and services that can help their healing journey. Currently, the predominant model in the industry is that websites scrape people's personal data through the use of cookies. Anytime you go to a website, that website downloads a piece of tracking software onto your device, whether that's your cell phone or your computer. And then that software stays on that device for up to, the last one I saw was 11 years. Okay. 11 years. Those cookies actually tend to build up over time and slow down your machine. So if you're like me, you end up having to reset your iPhone every 6 to 12 months. You have to reset your laptop every year or 2 years to dump all of those. And you might have to clear your cache and clear your cookies certainly before then. But when you look into the privacy laws of American IT corporations, there is no privacy. Some laws are starting to come. For example, you may have noticed that recently when you go to a website, it gives you the option to accept all the cookies or reject some of the cookies. Now that capability wasn't there 2 years ago. Why did that happen? Because I believe California passed a law and a couple of other states passed a law, and they were like, hey, we're done with letting random IT companies spying on their user behavior, not only on that website, but on all the other websites and all of your other activity for like years and years and years. We're done with that, right? So that cookies model is starting to be limited and go away. But what's going to replace it? Well, I believe it's well-curated surveys. Surveys that replicate natural dialogue and questioning method that I was having with this gentleman at the restaurant. The key is going to be in the quality of those surveys, right? There's tons of diagnostic surveys out there, 10 questions to see how depressed you are and 10 questions to see if you've got PTSD. And they follow scientific methods to be statistically relevant and all of those things, but they tend to be very sterile and difficult to engage with and highly bounded. Unfortunately, we are in the age of AI. We're in the age of natural language processing. We're in the age of asking questions and receiving input from people in much more multidimensional ways. I have great hope that that can enable much more effective surveys that improve their accuracy over time. That's my dream. Be on the lookout for more information. And if you happen to know of any investors who are looking to invest in a startup that's going to revolutionize the connecting of users with products and services, then please comment below or reach out to us from our website at venuscompanies.com. I'd love to hear your comments. See you next time.